Welcome to The Advocates. I'm Aaron Dean. The DOJ is launching a new $38 million grant program to help local communities fight hate crimes. The grants include more than $8 million to community-based organizations, $17 million to state and local law enforcement, and $2 million dedicated for hate crime prevention efforts. The DOJ says that the total amount this year is more than the department awarded in the past 2 years combined. It comes as threats are increasing against Jews, Palestinian Muslims. This year, the DOJ Civil Rights Division will commemorate the 25th anniversary of the murders of James Byrd Jr. and Matthew Shepard, along with the 14th anniversary of Shepard-Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act. Cornell University is investigating a series of anti-Semitic threats. The school's president says that the threats were made against the Center for Jewish Living. It houses the campus's kosher and multicultural dining hall, and it's not just Cornell. Some Jewish day schools have canceled classes. Synagogues have even locked their doors. Senator Chuck Schumer says that he's worried that anti-Semitism is on the rise in America.
I'm sickened and frightened by the news that has come out of Cornell University, where over the weekend messages appeared on a non-campus online forum calling for violence against the school's Jewish community. Anti-Semitism is absolutely on the rise here in America, and we have a strong obligation to condemn this behavior whenever we see it, wherever we see it, and no matter who spreads it.
The Anti-Defamation League has reported a 400% increase in anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. since October 7th. Well, the White House press secretary says that the president is denouncing anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in the U.S. and abroad.
President Biden has been clear. We can't stand by and stand silent in the face of hate. We must, without equivocation, denounce anti-Semitism. We must also, without equivocation, denounce Islamophobia.
Switching gears, tech entrepreneur and trans activist EC Pizarro knows the value of DEI in business. Pizarro is working to make sure that there are opportunities for those on the margins when it comes to tech. And he tells me that there is still much work left to be done in this space. EC Pizarro, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Like what is your how and why you got into the work that you're into when it comes to advocacy?
Yeah, I got into tech for liberation for marginalized communities because I've been playing on computers since I was little and found a pathway that tech is really profitable. And in 2023, tech is in everything. And the one thing that tech has to be is accessible for everybody, because now, like, you use tech to pay your bills. So having marginalized communities in tech is the most equitable way that I see a pathway to liberation for marginalized communities, specifically trans folks.
And so you are the executive director of Trans Tech Social Enterprises. There, you all work to center transgender and gender nonconforming people when it comes to career readiness in the tech industry. Tell us about the work and some of the programs that you all have in the organization.
Yes, so we have a career readiness program called GROW, Gaining Real Opportunities at Will, that's supported by google.org, where we identify the transferable life skills that trans people innately have to enter into tech. A lot of times I really promote for trans people to enter in project management, UX design, data analytics, because project management as a trans person, if you've managed your life, you can manage a project. If you have planned a rally or organized in any way, especially as a lot of organizers and cultural organizers, project management is great for trans people. So I started to see that there were a lot of things that innately my community had that filtered into tech. And the one thing that tech has is equitable job opportunities with access to inclusive healthcare. And those are the main barriers that a lot of trans people face just living their lives and trying to find equitable employment.
You know, with the work that you do in the organization and out of the organization, you know, we're talking about a very specific group of people in a very specific industry. Kind of share with us the impacts of centering marginalized groups in very particular areas. Where does that stand right now? And are you seeing that shift happening in tech? Is it going the way that you want it to go?
I think the shift is happening. I think the leaders in tech want the shift to happen because they see what happens when you have different lived experiences in the space. It actually makes the tech better and more profitable. So I am seeing a shift, but there also needs to be a culture shift of inclusion. There's high turnover rates right now, and at Trans Tech, we work with those organizations to really ingrain the culture of inclusion. And I've also seen that with more visibility and that culture of inclusion, more people in the workplace that maybe you didn't know they identified as transgender or non-binary or gender non-conforming or any other way, they feel more empowered to be open about that in the workplace. And when people can come into the workplace as their full and authentic self, they can perform at a better rate.
And speaking of being your authentic self, how can these tech companies and startups or whatever, how can they work to create that culture where people feel like, what, I can come presenting who I am?
Yeah, don't assume anything about anybody.
Mhm.
I was in corporate America for 10 years, and my coworkers did not know that I was of trans experiences until I started doing the work with Trans Tech Social. So I think there's with the leadership really recognizing that you don't know who's in the space, and it's never a thing of I don't have any trans employees, I don't have any non-binary employees. It's very much you haven't cultivated the culture for them to feel open enough and safe enough to be expressive with who they are. So it starts as little as pronouns, but really talking to your benefits organization and making sure that they have exclusive benefits where transgender people don't have to reach out to the benefits department to get something covered, that it's already covered for transgender people. I think also just including all of the experiences, not assuming anything, uplifting voices in the room. One thing that I noticed in corporate America being assumed cisgender, a lot of times I would hear women in the room voice really great ideas and everybody ignore them. And the way I advocated was I would repeat the same idea. And once they started saying, oh, that's just a great idea. Actually, it was her idea. I just repeated it because everybody just brushed over it like it wasn't a good idea. So really fostering a culture of let's hear everybody, because all of those experiences are only going to make the product better and the experience better.
And through the work that you guys do, have you all been able to kind of identify companies and groups that are doing it the right way, in your opinion?
Yes, I have. One company I think that is doing it right is JP Morgan Chase. They were the first group that came to us, and instead of having a Pride ERG employee resource group, they have a gender expansive employee resource group, which I thought was mind blowing, that the transgender and non-binary folks that were employed there saw a gap in their larger LGBT employee resource group, which I've seen myself in a lot of corporations. So to intentionally center the voices of gender expansive people in the workplace, I feel as though is very revolutionary in that sense. As we know, the larger LGBT community doesn't often center the experiences of transgender and non-binary folks.
And before we go, I want you to kind of talk directly to our audience who might be trans or gender nonconforming, who are trying to navigate through their careers and navigate the workplace. What do you have to say to them based off of your experience?
Based off my experience, I would say, one, know what you want out of that workplace. I think we were all brought up in a time where it's like you find that good job and you keep that good job. It's now the time where you find that good job, you get what you need from that good job, and then you apply for a better job and get more money based off of the experience you got at that job. So don't be afraid of the pivot. For me, when I made the pivot, it was the biggest thing that I had did in my life, and it's been the most affirming. So don't be afraid of making that change the same way you made the change to be yourself and live authentically. A job is going to be there as long as you apply yourself and you have the skills and you keep learning.
Thanks so much for watching The Advocates. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can even subscribe to our YouTube channel. For The Advocate channel, I'm Aaron Dean.